We got breaking news here on SportsCenter this morning from the NBA. Shams Jimmy Butler going down against the Heat last night.
Randy, sources tell me Jimmy Butler has been diagnosed with a season-ending torn ACL. His season is over. He faces a recovery timetable of the next calendar year, and this shatters the hopes that the Warriors had this season of contending for a championship.
Could you go to Kuminga if there is a need for
Sure,
that position?
Absolutely.
Is he ready? I mean, in practice and all those things?
Yep.
The Golden State Warriors just can't catch a break. Just when you thought things might change for the better, Jimmy Butler goes down for the season with a torn ACL, and the rest of the Warriors season, including trade season, might just be over. A lot hangs in the balance as the Warriors, for the moment, are down 3 forwards, not including Jonathan Kuminga, who himself, according to Shams Charania, has requested a trade away from the team. With Butler's recent injury sidelining him for possibly the rest of his tenure as a Warrior, the team is now $54 million short of putting their best foot forward. The deadline to file for a disabled player exception was January 15th, so that option isn't in the cards for Golden State. This puts most of the pressure on Draymond Green, who struggled next to Jimmy for the most part, but is unable to raise the Warriors' ceiling on his own. Green alone isn't capable of providing what the Warriors need on the offensive end of the floor. Couple that with his current day-to-day status, an increased load could create more problems than less later on. This puts the spotlight on Guy Santos, who hasn't seen a ton of minutes in his limited role off the bench. Apart from missing 2 games with a non-serious ankle injury, he's been averaging just 11 minutes per game, putting up a little under 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. Despite Jonathan Kuminga being out of Steve Kerr's rotation and Santos' improved 3-point percentage, his role has been reduced compared to last year. One of the major reasons behind this is the addition of guard Will Richard. Kerr's lineups over the years has been shifting away from wings and centers to more guard-heavy lineups. For example, after Jimmy went down, the Warriors had at best 1 center on the floor with 4 guards for the entire matchup. While the Warriors won, this was mostly because players were hitting their shots to the tune of 47% from 3, and Brandon Pajemski taking over in the 4th quarter. Miami had no response after Jimmy went down and lost what became a Warriors trap game. Could we see an increase in minutes for Guy Santos when he returns? What does all this mean, and what happens next for Golden State? Is there a potential trade for Michael Porter Jr. in the works? Check ball. After spending 4 weeks in the storm-ravaged island of Jamaica post-Melissa, I've been able to document and will be sharing with you how storm survivors are coping in the aftermath, and will also be including how your donations were put to use to help others struggling at the moment. I'll be curating a 30 to 45 minute documentary about what I experienced, as well as the experiences of 3 families or individuals before, during, and after the hurricane. I will also be providing a method to help these 3 in their recovery if you resonate with their stories. The current GoFundMe is still up, and you can click the link in the description to continue helping, as we haven't yet raised enough to fully cover the costs of rebuilding. A lot of the costs came from my own pockets, but just to be sure, I appreciate every single donation you guys have made so far. Without them, there would still be no roof on my aunt's house. Thank you again, and keep an eye out for the documentary, which should be posted within the next week or so. Before Jimmy's injury, the Warriors' options were simple. Either they include Jonathan Kuminga in a trade for a player that Steve Kerr will play, or they kept him if they didn't get the value that they thought he had. Considering the description of the contract that JK signed with Golden State, that's a very risky move. The contract is designed to be ripped up after a year, according to Shams, and if JK is finally free at the end of this season, despite the second year being a team option, what impetus will he have to play for a team that kept him on the bench for the entire season? Not only was he not able to increase his value as a player to sign a lucrative contract with a team that is willing to play him, he also lost all that experience he would have gained as a player. The answer to that question is, there wouldn't be one. JK wouldn't have any motivation to play for Golden State unless the team decided to move on from Steve Kerr. If the Warriors are willing to keep him beyond the trade deadline, as they've stated, and decide not to re-sign Kerr to a new coach's contract for the 26-27 season, this would likely signal the official end of the Warriors dynasty. The already departed Klay Thompson, the departure of Steve Kerr, and the inability of the front office and Kerr to put pieces in place to complement Steph Curry and Draymond Green would toss any delusion of a grand fifth championship for Curry to sail off into the sunset. But there is one option that could help this team that would be agreeable to all parties involved. I've mentioned this particular option in my last video without going into detail. However, this is where it gets discussed. That option is one where the Warriors send Jonathan Kuminga in a trade while getting back Michael Porter Jr. The fit with Porter Jr. isn't just a good one, it's actually almost too good to be true as it fixes many of the Warriors' issues. With his youth and similarities to a pre-injury Klay Thompson, Porter Jr. might just be the complementary piece to Steph Curry and Draymond Green that the Warriors need to make that final run. While Porter Jr.'s shooting is reminiscent of Klay Thompson and gives the Warriors the additional spacing, one of the biggest advantages, especially at this juncture, is his size. While we're sure Steve Kerr is likely salivating at the opportunity to make Porter Jr. his stretch five, as he did with the last Porter Jr. the Warriors had on contract, he could reasonably fill any role from 2 to 4, and despite the jokes, I'm sure he'd be at the 5 in a few of Kerr's lineups. This gives Kerr the ability to field a 5-out lineup with certified shooting at every position 1 through 5 without being excessively small. The front court would now feature at least 3 shooters 6'9" or above in Al Horford, Quentin Post, and Porter Jr. The only problem with Porter Jr. is that he's not a top-tier defender, which means that the Warriors would need to cover up those weaknesses. Post has made a lot of strides as a defender this season. Horford is already established as a defender, and Draymond, when healthy, still holds it down on that end of the floor. With these players and other defenders such as Melton, this should alleviate much of the concerns about Porter Jr. on that end. A big three of Curry, Porter Jr., and Draymond doesn't immediately scream championship, but the individual ability of these players isn't what makes this a match made in heaven. What makes this an eye-opening fit for the Warriors is the potential for Porter Jr. to mimic Klay's game in the motion offense. This allows Draymond to become more useful in his declining years, finding Porter Jr. instead of just looking for Curry. Again, while Porter Jr. will be missing prime Klay Thompson's All-NBA defense, if the Warriors put sensible players like Melton and Al Horford next to Curry, Dre, and MPJ, this just might be the cocktail that gets the job done. The NBA world might get to see what it would actually look like for the Thunder to face a replica of the 2015 Warriors team. Not nearly as potent, but with enough similarities to make things interesting. With such an incredible fit and MPJ being available in trade talks, what do the Warriors have to do in order to make this trade work? After all, Brooklyn hasn't even feigned any sort of interest in any of the players on the Warriors roster. It's no secret that the Warriors are after Brooklyn's recently acquired star. Michael Porter Jr. has been buzzing ever since he landed in New York, putting up 25 points and 7 rebounds while shooting 40% from 3. With only 3 assists per game, he's clearly not the player you build around, but as a complementary piece, he could be your nuclear third option or a second depending on who else you have on the floor. In the Warriors' case, with Draymond prioritizing passing and defense, Porter Jr. can focus on rebounding and knocking down those looks off Draymond's feeds. Although whether or not those looks will be open is another question altogether. Draymond will have to be an offensive threat, running DHOs in order to maximize penetration while spreading the D. What this all means is that the Nets should be motivated to move on from Porter and that the Warriors are one of their best suitors with whom to negotiate. Due to the second apron restrictions on Golden State and the fact that Brooklyn is more interested in picks than currently available players, the Warriors will have to involve a third team in order to facilitate a trade. Just like last time, we'll use Dallas in the trade, with the major difference this time around being sending Porter Jr. to the Warriors. The Dubs still send Jonathan Kuminga, but with Davis's recent injury and his colossal salary at $54.1 million, there's no landing spot for him in the trade. The Warriors end up taking Porter Jr., Haywood Highsmith, a 6'7" forward, and Tyrese Martin, a 6'6" forward. The Mavs get Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield, while the Nets get a haul of Daniel Gafford, Moses Moody, Caleb Martin, Najee Marshall, Gary Payton II, and 2 first-round picks. This trade satisfied all salary constraints, gives the Warriors some additional size, gives the Mavs a player they could pair with Flag at the wing, and the Nets continue to add more picks to their arsenal for a rebuild. Admittedly, this trade involves moving a fair amount of players, so I thought I'd switch things up a bit and involve a different third team. Again, this is a team that would have to be interested in Jonathan Kuminga. Cue the Sacramento Kings. Building on the prior trade, the Kings net Jonathan Kuminga while giving up DeMar DeRozan. With the Nets involved, this makes it easier to do the trade with no picks as they're already benefiting in the form of 2 first-round picks from the Warriors. Kings get their guy and benefit from having a much younger and higher prospect player. The Warriors get the same deal they had in the trade with Dallas, while the Nets acquired DeRozan, Moody, Hield, Payton, and the 2 first-round picks in 2026 and 2028. This trade would theoretically give the Warriors their best shot at a title this year based on the potential fit, while sticking with core pieces from the dynasty. There is an alternative trade with Dallas that sends Klay back to Golden State to ride with the team with one last shot, but that would need to involve either more teams or in lieu of getting Michael Porter Jr. The likelihood of that happening is practically nil. That being said, let me know what you think of these two trades. Do you prefer to see JK go with the Mavs or with the Kings? Are the Warriors a contender with MPJ, or is he just not the caliber of defender the Warriors need to win a chip? Don't forget, he won as the third option next to Murray and Jokic, neither of whom are known for defense either, so there may not be much of an emphasis needed for that aspect of the game in order to allow the Warriors to win. Should the Warriors even bother trading Jonathan Kuminga considering Jimmy's injury? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish!